Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another speed build. It's time for another good old big mansion here. So after the release of Tiny Living, I built two tiny homes. So one was even micro, but now I just had to go back to building huge mansions. Before the release, I had also built two tiny homes. So I just had enough of tiny builds. I have to say though, it was a lot of fun. I definitely plan to squeeze in some tiny builds here and there in the future, even though this is kind of not the main theme of this channel, but I really enjoyed it. And also I think that I definitely learned that I can build smaller stuff if I would like to. Like I struggled with this so much. Sometimes I plan to build a medium-sized home, for example, and then it turned out to be a huge mansion. This happens all the time to me, but this pack has shown me that I can definitely build smaller stuff, that I can push myself to build smaller stuff, that I can translate my style and the way that I like to build to smaller builds if I would like to. I don't think that I'm a person that is ever going to be in love with the whole tiny build thing in general. Like, I like it, I really love when others do it, and I had a blast, but this is just kind of not my thing really. But I think that I can definitely translate what I've learned to medium-sized builds and all that stuff. I don't know, just think that this is interesting, because when I was working on this bad boy here, I noticed that there was suddenly so much space, and I just thought, wow, I could have built this smaller. I didn't want to build this smaller, and it's good that it's a big mansion, but it felt different to furnish this suddenly, and I think this is a interesting thing. I really like to challenge myself sometimes, and this is just, sometimes you just discover new stuff when you try out something new, when you have to try something new. I mean, I don't have to, but whenever a pack is released, I always try to build something within the theme, even if I'm not super hyped and excited for a new pack. And this was just it was just refreshing for me. So I wanted to build a mid-century modern home ever since Get Famous was released, probably, which was in, I don't want to lie, I think it was fall 2018. Yes, probably, yes, 2018, a long time ago. This was a couple of months after I started my channel, and then Get Famous came out, and there are two different styles in this pack. One is the super over-the-top bougie kind of style that you can use to create some over-the-top Beverly Hills celebrity mansions. You could also build a castle with this pack, and then there are also a lot of mid-century modern objects, especially furniture, some windows and all that stuff. And I really enjoyed this style, and I've never tried to build anything in this style. The only kind of retro build that I ever created was my falling water recreation. The interior was super retro, but this here was something that I had planned to do for a long time, but I could never really nail it. I guess because it's quite simple when you look at the shapes. It's not a super huge 3-level mansion and all that, and I could never really translate this to my style and how I want the build to look. I still wanted there to be a lot of complexity, multiple levels and all that, and then I built this and it turned out to be quite nice. I think that I finally managed to build a house in this style. So I mean, I know that a lot of people are going to tell me this is not a true authentic mid-century modern home, and you are probably right, because nothing here on this channel is really truly authentic. I like to build something in a style and then I just add my own twist to it. This is what I do. So there are a couple of crazy things going on here probably, but I definitely try to stay within this style. And the interior is also super retro. I used many Get Famous objects, and it was a lot of fun to work on this. It was something different. To make this build look more complex, I built this on multiple levels. I used the terrain tools, and then I just built different areas of the house in different levels, and you cannot connect them, at least not the interior, but what you can do is you simply use some stairs to connect the different levels, and then it's all connected and working fine. So there is one main area, which is just the living area. There's the kitchen, the dining room, a bathroom, 2 bedrooms, and this is just the main part of the house, which is just on one level basically. And then the area in the front, which is on another level. I decided to turn this in a completely separated house or apartment. You could use this for a butler, or maybe you want to let your teenage sim move into this house. As you will see, I used a regular bed just in a bedroom, but then I also used the Murphy bed from Tiny Living in the living room, so you have an extra bed. So I really wanted this build to be unique, even though the shape is, at least for what I'm used to build, is quite simple. I'm also going to use a little trick that I came up with, just not really a trick, just kind of a visual trick. So in the back where you can see that I built the half wall on the roof, at this point this is the whole main area of the house, and this area is of course too small. At some point when I wanted to work on the floor plan, I realized that this is too small, but the house itself, the way it looks here, it looks balanced. I don't know, when I looked at it, this is kind of how I go about creating a build. It just looked right to me, so I didn't really want to expand this, because as soon as I wanted to expand this in the back, it just looked too massive. It kind of destroyed the whole look and the vibe of the house. So what I did was I added the room on the back. I expanded the house eventually because I had to. There just wasn't enough space. I wasn't going for tiny or small living here, as I said. So I had to expand this area, and I did. I just added a room, and then I added grass to the rooftop and a couple of rocks. So when you look at the house later on, when I'm reaching this point in this video, you will see that you can't really tell that this is part of the house. It's kind of morphing into its surroundings because of the green roof and all that. I added a bit of shrubbery here and there, and this is how I tried to morph this area of the house into its surroundings, and it looks quite lovely because here, as you can see, I'm using a lot of rocks and trees. I used so many trees. I noticed that most of the time I'm only using one type of tree for my builds, and this is what I did for just the house itself, where I just placed a couple of small trees all around the house. But then all around the house, in the garden area basically, I wanted to combine different trees for once, and I did that, and it made it look very lush and green and happy. I used some base game debug rocks. They have this flat shape, and for some reason they just fit into this whole modern retro theme. I have no idea why, but it just felt like they work so well. And here I'm reaching the point where I'm finally expanding the house. I placed a plant on top. I turned the roof into this green color. It's just the floor that is supposed to be grass. I also placed a couple of rocks on it, and it's kind of morphing into its surroundings, as I said. So when you now look at the house from the front, you can't really tell at first glance that it's there. It doesn't destroy the whole look and the shape of the house that I was initially going for, and I think it looks quite fun. I've also used some good old tool magic. If you've watched my most recent speed builds, then you probably already know about this mod. I have used it for a couple of builds in case you are new here, or if you just haven't watched these videos, then I'm quickly going to mention what's going on. Tool is a mod that lets you move objects off lot, and you can also use it to elevate and rotate objects, and it's just amazing. And the good thing is, when you use it in a build and then you upload that build to the gallery, the build is still completely unmodded, so those who download the build don't need the mod to use it the way it was initially built. This is why I like to use that mod. I keep my builds CC and mod free so anyone can use them, and I upload my builds to the gallery. So I like to use that mod because it does not affect the gallery upload. And I'm still working on a tutorial. Like, I've started to work on that and I still have to finish that. I really want to do the whole tool mod and all its functions justice. It's just amazing, and I'm going to put the link down below in the description box in case you want to check it out. It's really intuitive. At first it seems to be a bit tricky, but it's not. You just have to figure it out. But as I said, I really want to explain this to you guys in a tutorial. I think that it's amazing because even if you don't really like to do some crazy stuff, sometimes you can use it for things that are just annoying. Like here, for example, I wanted to place a hedge, and then because of the terrain, it was elevated a little bit and there's no way to move it down. So I had kind of steps in between the different hedges, and I wanted to move the hedge a little bit down, and you can totally do that with the tool mod because you can just lower objects into the terrain, and this is just great. And this is what I did here. I just wanted to make this look really seamless and perfect, and so I just decided to use the mod for this. So here I'm working on the interior, and as I said, I was going for a mid-century modern retro look, and I used many Get Famous objects for this. For the kitchen, I used some base game kitchen counters because there were no kitchen counters in Get Famous which are kind of in this style, so just used the retro looking base game counters, and I just try to make it look really warm and cozy as most of the time for my interiors. But here at first it looked quite cool toned, and then I changed the floor, and as soon as I changed the floor to a warm toned wood floor, it looked so much more retro, and then I was really happy with how it turned out. So I changed a couple of things along the way while working on this interior. And talking about interior design, furniture and all that, I also want to say a couple of things about Hygge. So in my last speed build, I was building something with the tiny living pack, and I was talking about Hygge. And in the stream for the Sims for Tiny Living, when the new objects were introduced, the gurus talked about Hygge and that it's as if it's kind of a style for furniture. And I think a lot of us here who had no idea what Hygge was thought that it was just a style for furniture, or maybe I was just uneducated, and I should have done my research before talking about this in my most recent video. But yeah, it's not a style, it's a feeling. So many of you educated me in the comments, and you were all super sweet about this, and you said that it's absolutely not a style for furniture, that it's a feeling, that there's not really a proper word to translate it to the English language, that it can't be just translated with cozy, for example, which was also something that I heard a lot when the pack was announced. And yeah, you were super nice, and I totally appreciated all the comments, and I'm sorry that I kind of messed up. I should have really researched this better. But then the amazing Trude, and many of you actually, talked about this in the comments, and Trude offered to educate us a little bit, and she did such a great job to explain what Hygge actually is. And I'm also super sorry if I pronounced this wrong. I pronounce a lot of things wrong on this channel, and I'm super sorry if Hygge is now amongst these words. So Trude said, I'm just going to read what she said. Hygge is a feeling. You can't see it. It's not objects or in any way a design. It's just a feeling. In translation, a hyggesek is to enjoy themselves, but it's not really about joy. It's a feeling of contentment, calm, relaxed, comfy. It could be the feeling you have when you get some snacks and sit down by the TV or lounge with friends or family, or alone, in comfy clothes and a blanket and a glass of wine, for instance, or playing a game together with the people you love, or when you sit in a nice warm chair with a book and just Mac with some chips, blanket, you can't be cold, and another glass of wine, or just a drink you like. It's kind of the opposite of feeling stressed. You could say, yesterday I Hygge Mac in the nook of my sofa with a cup of tea and watching TV with my hubby. I think that Trude explained this so well. Thank you so much, Trude, for educating us. And I kind of apologized already in the comments, and I said that I would totally like to talk about this in my next video to make up for my mistakes and to just get this out there, because I feel like a lot of people who are not from Scandinavia had no idea what this is. And I feel like many people really just associate it with a kind of certain style for furniture. At this point, I'm still confused why this is associated so strongly with furniture for many people. And I mean, I kind of get it, because it's from Scandinavia. There's a certain style of furniture, and you can just design your home in a way that it makes you feel Hygge maybe. So it's like a very cozy, amazing place where you don't feel stressed, where you can really calm down, where you just feel at home and super happy. So maybe this is the connection, or maybe this is just wrong all over again, but I'm just so happy that we all learned something about this. Thank you so much for anyone who talked about this in the comments. And all of this really got me thinking. It's so great that Hygge, that a word for a feeling like this exists, because nowadays everyone is just so stressed, and so many people are even bragging that they are sleep deprived, which is just not healthy. Everyone is so stressed, and it's so difficult to have a proper work-life balance for so many people and all that. We live in such hectic times, and the fact that Hygge is a thing, that people want to obtain this feeling, that they don't want to be stressed, that it's a good thing, that people cherish this feeling to be just happy and relaxed, not stressed, that they just feel contentment, as Trude said. This is just such a great thing, and I think it speaks volumes about the culture in Scandinavian countries. I think this is just amazing. But enough about Hygge and about this build, because this video is slowly coming to an end. Here are some screenshots. I also included screenshots of the floor plan, because this build has really a weird floor plan because of the different levels and areas. You can find this build fully furnished in the gallery. It's CC free and unmodded, so you can add this to your game if you want to. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.